Let me introduce myself. I'm Brigitte Shulze, and I am the co-founder of the Sarah Shulze Foundation. And this was a foundation that we started in our daughter Sarah's name. Sarah died by suicide in April of 2022. And she was a cross country runner and track runner at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And what I can tell you about Sarah's story is that she was a happy girl. She was fun loving, and she was a good, loyal friend. She was a good big sister, and went to college, started dealing with some anxiety, and started to see some help through her university mental health services. And we were aware that she was, she was pretty open with that. And then, COVID hit and life got crazy and busy, and the life of a student athlete got overwhelming for her, and life as a 21-year-old got overwhelming, and in an unfortunate, bad crisis situation, made the decision to take her life, and it affected us, her family, friends, community, and out of that despair and being confused as to how this all happened, we started the Sarah Shulze Foundation. And the mission of the Sarah Shulze Foundation is to bring awareness to mental health, mental wellness, and suicide prevention training. And if by telling Sarah's story, we can help anyone in crisis, then that is our mission. And we like to say that Sarah was a power for good in her community. She loved to take stands against things that she felt passionate about. And we're just kind of taking that on as we go forward. And we want to be a power for good in our community. And Gina and I met in this really unfortunate set of circumstances, and I'll let Gina tell her story about Katie, and then we can talk about, I guess, how we met.
Yeah. Our story is a little bit different. Everybody has a unique story, a little different story, but obviously a ton of similarities as well. Our story, well, first I'll tell you about Katie. Like Sarah, she was an amazing sister, an amazing daughter, wonderful teammate, fiercely loyal, Spitfire from birth, came out perpetual energy, a little mischievous, always had that twinkle in her eye of mischief. What could she, get into next? What tree could she, climb up and jump off of, and forts she could build, and, she was a high energy from a kid, loved dancing, loved singing, all the fun stuff. She honestly could light up a room. She was so fun. She's a goalkeeper at Stanford University, and was a team captain. She was doing well in school. Soccer was her happy place. So she loved it, loved every minute of it, loved being with her teammates, loved coming home to be with her sisters and us, her mom and dad. So with Katie, we had no health history of mental illness. We didn't know what happened, or I should say, started picking up the breadcrumbs, piecing it together after she had already died. Because when we got the phone call, honestly, we thought, she was in a car accident, or she was hit on her bike by a car. we never in a million years guessed that she had taken her own life. I mean, we never would have, definitely thought it was an accident or something else that was involved. So what we had found out after the fact is that she was involved in a disciplinary action on campus. One of the football players on the football team had sexually assaulted her teammate. And Katie, probably being a very protective mama lion, and this boy had nothing but basically a slap on the hand for this. Nothing happened. Nothing came of it. She probably took it upon herself to make a little statement from the soccer team and spilled coffee on him. And what we heard was it just progressively got worse until she didn't hear from them for a while. And then I think she thought it was over because nothing happened to the football player. So I think she thought it was over and never told us, probably thought she could handle it and manage it on her own, and maybe was a little embarrassed, a little ashamed, just all those things, and thought it would work itself out. So why bother mom and dad with it, even though for the most part, she told us like everything.
Yep.
So that's the heartbreaking part. But also didn't tell her older sister. I think only a couple teammates knew what was going on. She kept it very, very much to herself. And the night that she took her life, she had received a 6-page email from the university threatening not only withholding her degree, which she was 3 months shy of, but also, removal from the university, expulsion from the university, all those things. And so from what our therapists now and people who are in this have said, they believe that she had something called an acute stress reaction, which is not uncommon. Something goes sideways in their life, and they said it's kind of like looking through a straw. It's the only thing they can see. They can't see anything on the outside in that moment. That's what they're fixated on. And she, most likely panicked and was terrified, and probably felt, I'm sure, some level of betrayal from her school, and, made a very impulsive decision in that moment, which, is why we developed Katie Save, the foundation, because our first question was, how did we not know? How did we not know as her parents that she was going through this? How did the university not notify us? How did nobody really know what was going on? Because of two things. Number one, when they're 18, they're technically an adult. Yep. And as a parent, you can pay all the bills. They're on your health insurance, but you get no information. So you are in the dark. You get nothing. But here's the second thing, and here's the problem. This is the conundrum, is their brain is not fully developed yet until they're 25. So you have these college years where they're away from home, 18 to 22, 23, whatever that may be. And they're a very young adult with very little life experience still. And when something challenging, stressful, they need that extra support and guidance, it's not always there. So, and instead of thinking with the front of their brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, rational decision-making, good judgment, all that, they go middle brain, which is the more emotional, irrational, and impulsive. And that's what can happen. So we're trying to figure out at Katie Save, we're like, how can we bridge this gap? How can we do something where there's some option at least? So we created a 2-page initiative, it would be a university policy that they would offer to students. Doesn't just have to be student athletes, but all students, where if it's under 5 things that are considered a challenging, stressful situation, whether it's academic probation, a disciplinary action, an injury. So we have 5 things on there. It's all student choice. It's all optional. They can check whatever boxes that they want, and they would have a designated advocate. So it's not even parent or guardian. It can be. It'd be great if it was, but we realize not everyone has the best relationship with their parent or guardian. So maybe it is an older sister. Maybe it's an aunt or uncle. Maybe it's a cousin. Maybe it's a
teammate.
It's a pastor. I mean, it can be someone that is considered that trusted adult that would get an email blast saying, you know, this student has been involved in an element of Katie's Save. And it gives that person, that designated advocate, the chance at a phone call to go, hey, I got this email. What's going on? What do we need to do? Can I help you? And you know, that student can respond back, or they can say, hey, I'm not, but they might open up and say, you know what, I do need help. And then that person can help support them, guide them. Well, who do we need to talk to? Where do we need to go? And so that's one of our, that's our big focus. And then our second big focus, just like Sarah Shulze Foundation, is suicide prevention training, more trainings, coaches, athletic staff, training with those, like getting it, right? Getting not just check the box type thing, but like an in-person 2-hour
training,
like a CPR training that is mandated, something that it's the role playing, how to ask those right questions. I think that's so important. And then also working on an athlete to athlete or peer to peer training, because I think a lot of them, you know, that camaraderie, we know this, you know this, Bridget, we've talked about this. They, you know, there's a loyalty and they tend to want to, you know, keep each other's secrets. And I understand all that. I do get that. But at what point, if they were trained, what point do you cross the line? What point do you go to a sports psychologist on campus or a coach or something and say, hey, my teammate's really having a problem here. Like something's going on. We really need to check on them, or someone needs to check in on them, you know? So that kind of training, I think we need that, you know, but anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I have heard your story, you know, many times, and it still makes my blood boil listening to it. And, you know, you and I met in this strange set of circumstances. Katie passed, 6 weeks before Sarah. And we live in the same community, and we had never met each other before. And met, and I mean, do you remember that first coffee? We were so thrown at the similarities between the girls, and you know, they're both one of 3 sisters. They were, you know, high achieving, set up really lofty goals for themselves, and very driven and advocates on their team for doing the right thing when the wrong thing is being done. And you and I met, and in talking about the similarities of Katie and Sarah, talking about the similarities of their loss, and our frustrations with our 2 universities and their lack of mental health, with lack of any kind of mental health wellness, and then lack of action after the deaths. You and I said, we have to do something together. We have to, you know, do something for our community. And that's how we hatched this Together for Mental Health event, which we did a week ago. It was September 20th. And we brought our communities together. We brought our high schools together, the soccer community, the running community.
Like 900 people.
900 people.
900, and we were so scared we were only going to have a few hundred. that we
Yeah.
went with the bigger theater thinking like, just in case, we don't want to
Just
turn
in
anyone
case.
away.
We don't know. Yeah. We don't
We got
know.
like 900 people. So
Yeah. And it turned out to be this powerful night of conversations and open dialogue with mental health professionals about the stigma of seeking help, the, feel the need to open up to your family and friends when you're in crisis, and the need to take care of your mental health, even when you don't think you need it. Take care of it before you need it, so that when that crisis happens, you've got the tools in your tool belt to tackle that crisis at hand.
Brigitte, I love what you said. I think at the end was, you said we all have mental health.
We all have mental health.
And I think so many people don't put for some reason, there's something with mental illness and something with mental health, and people don't equate like mental health. We all have
we all have it. If we have a brain, we have mental health.
We all have to take care of our mental health.
Yeah.
Because what we're also realizing, and I think, again, this was brought up at our event, and you and I have talked about this, it's not always the glaring red flags.
No.
Sarah and Katie were extremely high functioning, high academics, high, competitive athletics. I mean, they didn't have that health history, so to speak, or a true mental illness. I think there's, especially with the younger age group, I think there's so many, what we've called soft vulnerabilities, right?
Yeah,
which can be so hard and devastating for that group. Their first failing grade, maybe their first speeding ticket with the law, or a fender bender car accident, a relationship, breakup. We know with athletes, injury, right? Injury and not playing, not getting the play time, being on the bench, not feeling valued on the team. I mean, there's so many things, those soft vulnerabilities that, between juggling school, juggling their sport, everything they have going on, there can be, I think, a perfect storm of a couple things happening, and they're really feeling it, the gravity of that, the heaviness of that. So,
and if you don't have a coach that values mental health and working on your mental health, just like you work on your physical health, then that perfect storm even more becomes amplified.
Yeah, because if you are tight with your family and you're at home, I feel like you have that safe landing spot, right? You have that safety net, you have that cushion. But when you're away at college, you're very independent, you're very on your own, and it's a learning process. But like you said, if you don't have those resources, or maybe they're there, but you don't know they're there, you're embarrassed to ask or go. That is tough. That is really tough. And that's where I think, like you said, that training comes in, that athletic, the suicide prevention training,
should be mandatory.
It should be mandatory. And it's not always looking for the glaring red flags, but there's those other signs that sometimes you have to kind of, as a coach or trainer, or, piecemealing this together, even as a friend or a teammate, I think, keeping an eye out for what this person's going through, and checking in on your teammates, checking in on your friends.
And knowing what the subtle language is that the person in crisis might be sending, and being open to, or at least being aware to recognize, what, I think she's asking me more than what this seems. And maybe I need to check in on him or her, or I need to make sure a professional is checking in with him or her.
Agree.
And it's not seen as a bad thing by your team and your coaches and the coaching staff.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, what do you think? Like, I mean, we've been in therapy. I know we're all going,
Yes.
and just for our own journey and going
Mm-hmm.
through what we've been going through, like coping tips, strategies,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking for these young, student athletes.
Yeah.
What have you thought about or learned or?
I think that it's, for me personally, and for what I've learned is to be open in talking about your mental health journey. And
Sorry, that just came home.
oh, that's okay. So I think it's about keeping the dialogue going, and I think it's about, for student athletes, I also think it's about making sure that you're developing your identity outside of your sport, so that your whole self-worth isn't revolved around your sports performance. And, it can be as simple as taking up cooking, or, taking some time to read a book, or going for a walk just outside. I just think really trying to build your identity. And again, going back to the schools and the universities, allow these students to have an identity outside of their sport. Don't punish them for taking on internships, and don't punish them or taking part-time jobs.
Even like a mental health day. Like I've said to students, like, or when we've given our talks and we're talking to other student athletes, like, feel that if you are just really having a day, maybe you've got an exam on this day, you've got this going on. I mean, maybe it is worth a phone call to your coach and say, I really need a mental health day. And I've heard that some coaches are giving, like allowing like 3 mental health days per season, no questions asked, and I think a beautiful thing. And you should, as a student athlete, being proactive and being able to take a step back, take a breath if you need it. And like you said, I mean, be able to maybe instead of you're going for a hike that day, you're out in nature, taking a walk, being creative, art, writing in a journal, gratitude journal, yoga, meditation, prayer, whatever it may be that kind of resets you, breathing techniques, all of that stuff. I think, and I feel like even going through the last 18 months, what you and I have been through, I think I'm also like knowing I need that for me.
Right.
And being able to sometimes take a step back, taking a break from social media. I mean, I know you just did that the other day, and that was brilliant. I was like, Brigitte, why didn't I do that? It was the day after our event. We were both like so
exhausted.
And it's so smart, I think, to do that, because it's constant. You do feel sometimes like a hamster on the treadmill, on the wheel, right? So to be able to sometimes take a step back and reset is, I think, so important. All good stuff, but also keeping those lines of communication open, really open with people when things are going on, and being proactive.
And I'd like to see coaches make mental health more of a priority in their training. Let them, do a team bonding exercise that has nothing to do with the sport that you're doing, but is just working on the mental health of your team together. And I think what a powerful way to bond your team together, and is to, really foster these good mental health habits. Do it as part of a team too.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the team bonding stuff. I see teams do it. Like I see them going out and doing stuff. I
Yep.
see my daughter's team when they do it, and it is so fun to see them laughing and
Yeah.
giggling off the field, off the track, out of the pool, whatever it is.
Right.
Just having fun. And I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think like to get involved in Sarah Shulze Foundation? How
Mm.
student athletes and or parents get more involved in our both of our foundations? But I'm just asking you first.
Yeah. Mine is, I think, a really easy way to get involved with the Sarah Shulze Foundation is reach out to us and say that you want to wear green ribbons at a game or a practice or in season. And our foundation will gladly send them out to you, because to us, if you are wearing the green ribbon on the field, then you yourself are sending the message to your teammates, to your friends and family in the stands, to the opposing team, to your community as a whole, that you truly are going to take your mental health as seriously as your physical health. And it's more than just wearing the green ribbon. It's really what it symbolizes, that you're going to take it seriously. And I think that's the easiest way that you can get involved with the Sarah Shulze Foundation.
I love that.
How about you, Gina?
Yeah,
Let's talk about the initiative.
Yeah, I mean, well,
so important.
Same with you. We've actually been doing at so many mental health awareness games, which I love to see that these universities and colleges are doing during Mental Health Awareness, month and Suicide Prevention Month, and they are doing these games, matches, meets, whatever it is, and we're sending out the wristband, sending out information on the initiative. On what they can do to help support, and just kind of to just highlight it. Like you said, if you're wearing the green ribbon, you're showing your support on mental health, and that it is something that you take seriously. So we've been doing the same thing, sending out a lot of packages for the games, which has been awesome. But even more so, if you go on our website, you see the 2-page initiative, you print that out. Whether, you're feeling closer to going to your coach first, saying this is something I really support. We want to support this as a team, get your team, involved. And that coach takes it to his AD, and the AD, his or her AD, and says, hey, let's get the whole athletic department involved. How can we get this in our school? Better yet, take it to your, Office of Student Affairs, or,
your student athlete council, right?
Exactly.
Student athletes have a voice. They have power, and they need to speak up for things like the initiative.
Yep, they do. And that's how we're starting the grassroots of getting it in, which is awesome. But we also have, and I know you already know about this, but I'll tell the audience if they don't know, it is on the docket in the state of California. It is Assembly Bill number 1575. Fingers crossed. One of our Assemblywomen, Jackie Irwin, Assembly member of the state of California, has been championing this along. We are hoping this gets voted on, so it will be here, at least offered in our Cal state schools and UC schools in the state of California. And that, sometimes when something becomes obviously a law, then other schools, it could be that ripple effect. And that's what we hope. So that's something we've been really working on. But in the meantime, we have a lot of students, trying to get this out to their administrative, and fingers crossed we'll get more people on board, but that's what we're working towards.
Yeah.
I
like it.
What else?
I mean, I think, it just to round out this thing is, all of us, whether it's Katie Saves or whether it's Sarah Shulze Foundation, whether it's Morgan's Message, Helinski's Hope, we're all, you know, what we want is to empower and educate student athlete groups, that the universities may not take it upon themselves to offer you mental health services, but you do have a voice, and there is power in that group. And speak up to the things that matter to you, and having an advocate in case you get in trouble, offering suicide prevention training, you know,
Yes.
to your coaches and to your coaching staff. Maybe your team wants suicide prevention training, you know, maybe you want more information posted in your student athletic buildings about what to do in crisis. What are the resources on your campus? And, you know, what does dialing 988 mean as a lifeline? I think that's, you know, that's so big because it's new and many people don't understand the power and the benefit of 988. You know, it definitely helps someone if they are in crisis. But if you as a friend are worried about a friend, you can call 988 and simply say, these are the reasons why I'm concerned. And the other person on the other line can give you real concrete advice on what steps to do next to help your friends.
Exactly. So it's also what you're saying. I'm just kind of reiterating it, but it's a student athlete knowing where the resources are on campus, where they can go, what is offered to them, you know, maybe in their, you know, as a student athlete, they get so many counseling sessions, you know, with a sports psychologist or a therapist. Like what is offered to them? Where are the resources? Are they using those resources? And then, you know, the university offering more, whether it be, like you said, whether it's in-house and it's kind of those team bonding type stuff, which is awesome.
Right.
Maybe they're bringing in people from the outside to host workshops, you know, stuff with coping skills, breathing exercises, if there is stress or anxiety, like things that you can do. I think universities can keep growing in this way and keep offering more. But it's also getting the student there. You know, everybody's got the coaches have to buy in. Everybody has to be on the same page with this. So to like the hopes and dreams of our student athlete, I think that would be my hope and dream, is that they're in a place where they're looked at like as this whole, we've always said, right? Human first, you know, athlete second. And they're just all like, the wellness around them is just such a beautiful thing. And they feel like, you know, they're
valued as a whole person, not just for their athletic skill.
Yes. And they're well taken care of, you know?
And I think that, you know, I mean, we've been focusing so much on college athletics because of Sarah and Katie's story, but you and I have talked to a lot of high school programs out there. And I think it's just as important for high schools and club sports organizations to also value the mental health and the mental health development at these younger ages.
Big time.
Mental health is as important as physical health. And I think those messages, because if we can get the messages out to this younger generation, then they've already got the habits in place so that when they go to college and whether they're a college student athlete or just a college student, when crisis happens, they've got the tools in their tool belt, and it's habit. It's habit to know to reach out to your your friend who might be going to another school in another state, or your mom or your dad, or, your old high school, you know, your old coach
Yes.
even might be that safe place for you. And I just really hope that all the same things that we've been talking about start to inch their way. The conversation starts inching its way to those younger, the high school and club programs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 100%. And that's why
Right.
we are together for mental health. I would
I was just going to say, yes.
90% of the students we had there were high school age. We probably had a handful of college, but mostly high school. I know you've been talking to high schools. We've been talking to our local, and I agree. It's because, like you said, if you are talking about this, it's almost like driving and getting your permit, right?
Yeah.
So these kids, they're starting to get their permit. They're finding their way. They're putting the tools in the toolbox. They're learning. They're not quite in college yet where they're fully driving on their own, but pretty soon they will be. So the more time we can spend with them, and mental health and the resources and all the coping skills, I think that's a huge part of it. I agree.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I just, you know, that was the beauty, I think, of that event last week was, you know, we have connected in these, you know, the short 16, 18 months that you and I've been walking down this road, and we've connected with other parents, and they come up to you after we speak, right? And they say, I listening to you talk about Katie's story, listening to you talk about Sarah's story, you guys, we could be you. They see themselves in us as parents, and the students might see some of the stuff in Katie and Sarah. And, you know, if Katie and Sarah had heard these talks when they were in high school, they might have thought that they, you know, this wasn't going to deal, you know, this wasn't going to be something that they would ever have to deal with. Right. And the bottom line is, you know, everybody deals with mental health in some form or fashion. Most of it is usually not in crisis. And Katie and Sarah's stories are sadly unique, but you just want to make sure that you have those tools at an earlier age to deal with mental health.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I love you.
I love you too.
We can end it on I love you, because
I know,
you know, I've always said it. I mean, we've said this, it's not how we came together is not ever how we would have expected or anticipated in a million years ever would have wanted. And we did. And you are a huge blessing in my life. I'm so grateful.
Right back at you, my friend.
We're kind of walking this journey together in so many ways. And I thank, you know, God that he put you in my path and in my life, and we're, you know, and that we're doing this together. And both of us, you know, for Sarah and Katie, I know Sarah and Katie would be really proud of us. I think they both wanted to do big things, positive things, make positive impacts. And I feel like they are passing the torch to our families a little bit, saying, okay, guys, go do this. And that's
continue our voice, right?
Continue to be our voice. And we're trying to do that. So, as crazy as things get, as hard as it is, as sad as it is, I think, you know, I'm really proud of you.
I'm really proud of you.
Like what we're trying to do. So it's not, you know, we're still figuring it out. We don't know, but we're trying. So anyway, I love you.
I love you too. I love you too. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you for doing this with me. Sarah Shulze Foundation.
Katie saves.
Let's go. Okay.
Sarah Shulze, let's go.
Okay. And all the student athletes out there who's ever listening, you know, you are loved. You are so loved. And your family, friends, teammates, coaches, they are here for you. Just, you know, keep that conversation open, keep talking. There's always going to be valleys and peaks.
Yep.
And there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. What did Victoria Brown say the other day? She had a great quote, Victoria from on it, something about that the light, it's not always there right away.
Right. Yes.
And I don't want to quote it verbatim.
Gosh, now we're gonna
so good though. I almost have to look back, but the light, it does show up. It is there.
Show up even when it's dimmed and dark, and you can't, maybe there's a turn, you can't quite see it. It is still there.
It is there. And that's the whole thing, right?
Yep.